How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to Installed. In this video, I would like to share top 10 advice to all college students. First of all, a very brief introduction to my background. I'm currently a senior and I will be soon graduating from college in a month. During my 4-year college, I learned a lot of experience and advice from others by doing projects with others and also by getting in touch with others. Therefore, here I would like to share my top 10 suggestions. The first point is always respect others, since nothing is easy. When I was a freshman, I was not, that respect others, especially my seniors, since I always hear the complaints that they just can't find jobs, can't find internships, and I thought, things will always be easy in your life, and the reason why they can't achieve something or do something well is simply because they haven't put too much effort in it. However, everything just, went out of my mind when I became a senior. When I was finding jobs, when I was, reaching out to do something and wish to achieve something, it's actually much harder than I imagined. Even though I got some special, I have some, skills, and as I got a good profile. However, sometimes other people, they just won't give you a chance, they won't give you a chance to prove yourself. You may not achieve something successfully basically because you are not putting too much effort in it. That's not true. Sometimes luck is a really important thing, and luck can never be measured or prepared by yourself. The only thing you can prepare yourself is your ability and your preparation, right? If you got more preparation, you got more skills sharpened, actually your luck will be somehow much higher. And the example here is J.K. Rowling. So J.K. Rowling is the writer for Harry Potter. Actually, after she finished her first Harry Potter, he sent this book actually to 6 or 7 bookstores or publishers. However, they just refused to publish this stellar book. As we know, Harry Potter is definitely a great success, but sometimes luck is not in your side and you just cannot prove yourself. Therefore, when you don't have the chance, always be ready, always practice your skills. And when the chance is coming, when your luck is coming, take it and fix it in your hands. For the second and third thing, I wouldn't illustrate too much about them, since I've already had a video talking about these 2 points previously. So the second point is do things you love. In conclusion, if you love one thing, you will know it and you can do it well. And third suggestion is let others take advantage from you. I know for most of the people, especially young people, they think they're actually in a disadvantage when others are taking advantages from them, right? But this is actually not true. So if you think something in the longer term and you handle your relationships with others properly, you can actually win others' respect by letting others take advantage from you. The fourth thing is always do accounting and reflect on yourself. So this point or this suggestion actually has 2 points. The first is about accounting or the monetary part. So I believe for most of us have a bank account, right? And at first or at the beginning of each semester, we could have a lot of deposits. However, after a few months pass, we can just see the number in our bank account drops dramatically, right? And sometimes we just get used to it, that's so fine, but here is one thing. The amount of money you save in your bank account doesn't depend on your income or your salary. It basically depends on how much money you could save. So actually there are a lot of movie stars, right? They earn billions of dollars per year. However, some of them actually in a huge doubt. It's not because they haven't earned too much salary or income. It's basically because they spend too much, and sometimes the money they spend actually overwhelm their income. Therefore, my suggestion for those students who just use their money too fast is just list down your balance sheet or income statement from a bank account and divide them into different categories. For example, you can divide them into food, your entertainment, or travel, and you can just figure out some of them probably might have a huge span inside. Therefore, you have to take control of yourself in those aspects and to try to save as much money as possible. And the second point in this suggestion is basically you have to always reflect on yourself, right? If I do not reflect on myself, I cannot list down these 10 points. And you don't have to always reflect on your failure, right? You can also reflect on your success, for example, how you could achieve this while others didn't. or you could also learn from experience. For example, how to do this and how to do that. And this kind of experience is actually called soft skills. Soft skills is really important for your career in the long term. So taking an example of software engineers, like 20 or 30 years later, probably most of the software engineers, their skills in a specific target might be similar. So what distinguishes them is basically their soft skills. For example, how to talk with your colleagues, how to distribute your work, how to reach your boss, and how to reach out to your customers. So those are the knowledge that cannot be taught by others. Therefore, the only way you can learn from this kind of experience is by reflecting yourself. Therefore, for those students who always reflect on themselves can actually learn much more soft skills than others. My fifth suggestion is remember to start to invest. So Donald Trump actually said a sentence that I really like. There is no excuse to put your money under your bed. So if you want to know how to invest in 2020, actually I got a video which is actually talking this kind of areas. Here I would like to just give a very simple example. So as we know, most of us can earn at least 20 or 30K per year. So as long as you invest $1,000 per year and have the 10% of rate of return and compound it annually, you can actually achieve over $1.2 million after 50 years. So let's say you start to invest at the year of 20, right? So I believe most college students are around 20 years old. So after you got retired, which is 50 years later, at the age of 70, I believe, you can actually have over $1.2 million for your retirement. However, the problem is how many people after they got retired got this such of money, right? So probably you'd say that I don't know how to invest and I just don't have any skills in it, and 10% of rate of return seems to be too much high for me. But let me just give you an example here. So Nasdaq index, if you started to invest in 980 and you just leave your money there and to keep investing, even though there were a lot of financial crises inside, your annual rate of return, the average value can still over 10%. And I believe you also heard about the saying that compounding is the seventh miracle in the world. Therefore, always start to learn investment early. It's because if you just have $1,000 right now, even though all your money is just gone, your total loss is just $1,000. However, 20 years or even 30 years later, when you got billions of dollars, even though 1% of loss for your investment can actually cause a great damage to your wealth. My sixth point is always see something in the long term. This point is just so important, and I think most of students, they just cannot figure it out. So here's a very simple example. During college, we got a lot of exams, right? And also our most miserable finals. So I believe a lot of students, they would just say, I learned this course just basically because I want to achieve a good grade in the exams. Yes, that is true. However, their perspective is actually in a short term. If they see something in the long term, actually the knowledge or the skills they get from the coursework actually can reflect or help them in the longer term. Therefore, don't just see something in the short term. If you see something in the short term that can actually harm your benefits or your vision on this object in the long term. My seventh advice is you should learn to refuse others. I know as an engineer, it's really hard to refuse others, right? When others give you targets, for example, a prize or a mission, sometimes you just can't say no. And of course, this is also the point that I'm always keep practicing myself. So here's the saying: the moment when you say no to others, you gain your freedom. My eighth point is keep study and exercise. I believe most of us have this kind of perspective that the graduation of our college means the end of our study. However, this is actually not true. For example, just like the Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett, those ancient masters, they always keep studying themselves, right? For example, the Warren Buffett, actually he's a very good example. He's always reading newspapers all the time in his office, and he's always training his thinking ability, and therefore they achieved the greatest or the biggest investment in Berkshire Hathaway history, which is Apple. They acquired Apple stake for over 5%, and it turns out to be a very great of return. Here's the thing: Imagine 80 or even 90 years ago, nobody would imagine this kind of smartphone company, right? In old times, there is even no internet. Therefore, the reason why they can achieve this kind of great investment is basically the practicing of their mindset and also to learn something new about the technology. And this is especially true for engineers. Right now, things are just moving so fast, and the only way to keep yourself moving is by studying. And my suggestion for all the people, not just for the college students, but also for all the people, for their career, for their life, you should always keep studying. You should always to accept these new things, new technology, and try to reinvent them to make something more meaningful and more efficient. The second part is exercise. I believe for most of people, they actually got a misunderstanding about exercising. They think exercise is basically the way to lose fat. Personally, I would go to gym like 4 to 5 times per week and also go swimming 2 to 3 times a week. But of course, right now is the quarantine time, so I won't go there. But during my 4-year college before the coronavirus, actually, I exercise a lot. And this does not only help me to build a strong immune system. So basically, I hardly ever get sick. I will get sick for at most 1 time per year. However, looking around, a lot of my friends, they usually get sick. And this is how I'm always keep moving. I keep energetic and passionate to my life. And this is also one of the secrets that why I'm so happy about my life. And if you see something in the longer term, which is the previous point, especially for engineers, when they reach 50 or even 60 years old, their health becomes a really important thing. If they do exercise regularly over time, they can actually have a much better life and much stronger body, and therefore they can work more energetic than most of their peers, and that's the thing how to make themselves stand out. My 9th advice is stay away from those meaningless things. I've already talked about this in a previous video as well. So I believe at college the most 2 things that students would do. First is watch drama. Second is playing computer games. And I believe most of students devote a quarter of time into these 2 things. The reason why I call them meaningless things is because they just spend too much time on it, and that is absolutely worthless. If you spend 1 hour on it per day, that's fine, since you're just refresh your mind and to keep yourself energetic. But if you devote too much time on it, that doesn't make sense, right? So my suggestion is stay away from those meaningless things and use those time to do some useful things, and that can affect you in the long term. Last one here, always remember where you come from. This is actually a very important point. When I was a pupil, I was thinking this all the time. I wish to devote myself to this world and to make this world a better place and to benefit other people as well. It is really easy for you to forget where you come from, especially when you grow older, right? So for example, when you go to a company every day, what all you think about is simply your task and your income. However, I think we should still remember the reason why we come to this world, right? We should find some inner perspectives in our heart and to dig them out. So probably you can remember when you were young, actually you got a lot of interest, right? Even though you go out, you see the flowers on the street, you'll be so happy. But why the reason when you grow old, you just can't have this kind of interest in your life anymore? And I believe this is basically you forget where you come from. Therefore, my suggestion is, always keep in your mind where you come from and what you like, what you love. Keep doing that. Even though you made some difficulties in your life, you can still get over that and see something in the longer term and try to be nice, to be friendly to others people, let others take advantage of you, and do something that others are not doing. For example, if you're always following the normal people, the only result that they can turn out to you is to make yourself normal. I believe for most of us, we want to be, different. We want to achieve something magnificent. Therefore, follow your heart and try to follow some of these suggestions if you think they're helpful. Alright, I think this is the end for this video. If you have any other interesting topics in mind, please leave them in the comments below. Otherwise, I see you in the next video. All my best wishes and have a nice day.